All right, ladies and gentlemen, back again with the Parental Playbook podcast. I am joined now by the father and one of the combatants for the national championship this year. The Indiana Hoosiers will take on the Miami Hurricanes, almost a home game for the Hurricanes down in Miami. I'm joined by Sean Van Horst, the father of number 18, Solomon Van Horst, on your Indiana Hoosiers. Sean, congratulations, man. Wow, this must be really exciting for you and the family.
Appreciate it. Yes, it is. We very excited. You know, we're around here yelling Hoosiers. You know, we all into it. So we're excited. We're excited for him. We're excited for his teammates, his team making history. So just like we talked about in the Rose Bowl, that we could possibly be here.
Right.
You and I had that conversation, and
yes, sir.
now we're here.
Yes, sir. So tell me a little bit about what advice you've been able to give Solomon. You played in a Super Bowl against one of the best teams of all time in that San Francisco 49ers buzzsaw with Steve Young and Jerry Rice, John Taylor and all. What kind of advice have you been able to share with Solomon, you know, in your phone calls since the last game when they just ran roughshod out here over there? And stamped their ticket.
So you talk about that championship game that I played in when I was in San Diego against the 49ers. Ironically enough, that game was in Miami, right? At the Hard Rock.
No way.
And I think we may have touched on it.
No way.
You know, he could bring the championship home from Miami. That old Pops wasn't able to do it, the dude. So that's awesome. But no, man, our conversations has been pretty much the same as always, man. Just take it one play at a time. Obviously, this is a huge game, the biggest game that he would have ever played in, but it's still a game. And once you cross those white lines, all the hard work applies. You know, prepare and be ready if your number's called, and go out there and help your teammates. And if it's not called, you know, cheer them on and just be there any way you can and ready to play. So, you know, my message to him is always consistent and never changed. The game is big, but it's the biggest game that you played in, but it's still the game that you grew up playing and excelled at. So go be yourself, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, it's interesting, too. He's worked so hard to get to this point. Is he kind of pinching himself right now and saying, wow, this all paid off?
Because when you're in that moment, I know when I was in that moment, I really didn't really understand the moment that I was in. And I'm not so sure that he fully understands what he's about to embrace on, you know. But, you know, me having been in his shoes to a degree and lived that experience in a big championship game like that, you know, I try to tell him, man, take this all in, because I didn't. As a player, I didn't have someone like myself that experienced something like this to kind of tell me, hey, take it all in. You know, enjoy your teammates. If you get, and my wife tell them all the time, take photos, take pictures. You know, do your work and be prepared and be in your meetings and be attentive and do all that stuff. But enjoy this time, take it all in, because once it's over. And that's something that I didn't really do at the time that I was doing it. I was just so focused in on it. But I want him to just kind of take this all in and enjoy it, but be prepared. And when the games start, be ready.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's funny, too, because, you know, when you and I played at Howard, I remember my last game there, you know, was the Delaware State away game in '87. And, you know, and the finality of it all, you know, when we found out we didn't go to the play, and it was just over and there was nothing you could do. It was the most helpless feeling. You know, we gathered that Sunday night in the School of Business in the auditorium there, and Coach told us we weren't going to the playoffs, and, you know, there was nothing you could do. And, you know, and I know young kids don't really appreciate that aspect of this. And, you know, we don't want to burst their bubble right now. But, I mean, I'm glad you're giving him that advice. And, you know, the fact that he got a chance to play with a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. What has that been?
Mendoza speak and talk and do his interviews. To me, you can't help but like the kid and understand his background and where he come to accomplish what he accomplished. And that Indiana team is full of players like Mendoza, underdog type stories, but always been ballers, man. They've always, in this brand of football now, and you being ranked by somebody who you don't know and don't know you and don't know your heart and don't know your motivation and the things that you want to accomplish, and you've been productive. But if you don't meet those physical standards, the eye test, and you don't get those stars, so you don't get highly recruited, but you've been a dog. All those players been dogs all their whole life, man. They've been balling since youth football to junior league football to high school football, and at the level when they were playing in the FCS, they was ballers, and nothing changed, because if you're a baller, you're a baller. So Mendoza always been a baller, and they full of kids. That team is full of kids like
Right.
Mendoza. So
Bottom line.
I'm excited for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, got a chip on their shoulder too. I heard a great story about him where he signed a blank piece of paper on signing day for because he was going to go to Yale. And I mean, I fell in love with the kid up at Penn State. And then I heard the story about he and his brother were on the team at Indiana as well, and how his brother wanted him to come there, and his brother jumped ahead of him. I was like, man, this family is
I've had
amazing, man. Have you got
discussed
to know
conversations
them
with
as people, and
Coach
what does
Signetti,
Solomon tell you about them
in
as people?
passing, but nothing deep, nothing serious. And I kind of take away from him like you take away from it, and everybody else more on
Right.
hours of interviews and things like that. So I hadn't had a chance to really interact with them on a personal level often. But just knowing him and knowing his story, and knowing his story about his mom and his dad and his family and all that they've been through, you can't help but be cheerleaders of them and want the best for him. So, but he seems, in all accounts, like a great kid.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me about the importance of putting a team together like Coach Signetti has done. A lot has been made of Indiana not having any
Well,
5 stars, and all these other teams having, 20 and 35 star athletes on their
yeah, I
team,
mean,
and Indiana
I'm
come
not
out
I'm
and
not
whoop them.
that privy to that. I just
Tell me
know Coach
about the
Signetti from
chemistry aspect of
speaking
putting a
history
team
at James
together.
Madison, and then here at Indiana. But what I do kind of sense is that he looked for certain things in players, and each position is a little different. And I don't think he really cares about what other people think about a player. And I think that's one of his strengths, right? A lot of coaches kind of care about what other people think of and don't believe what their eyes see. And I think he got an idea of how he want his quarterback to play, how he want his running backs to play, his D lineman position, position, position. And when he sees that in them, when they plan on whatever level they plan on, he say, okay. And he have conversations with these guys, and that validate what he sees. So he looking for ballers. He looking for people who've done it before, and future is predicted on our past, right? So ballers just don't stop balling. And if you got good character with that, you're going to sustain. So I think that's his secret recipe, is that he's not looking at third parties to
Right.
see what they think about a player. He's like, okay, I don't care what you think about this player. I see this player. I see how he can fit in our program. I've
Yeah.
talked with him. I understand his character, and he's been balling his whole life. Let's go. So I think that's his secret recipe. That's what he does, and I commend him for that, because he gave my son an opportunity to
Yeah.
ball and do some
Yeah.
things. And just like, not to be long with it, but when he came into James Madison and was Solomon's redshirt freshman year, the coach had just left. Solomon and I had a conversation. He was redshirted, obviously his freshman year, like many freshmen get. He's always been balling, so he didn't like sitting in the stands, right, on game day. And he said he's not doing that again. So he just doubled down on his work, and he's like, listen, coach is coming in. He wants to win. He don't care who's going to help him
Mm-hmm.
produce these wins. He don't care about what reputation.
Right.
If you go in spring ball and you go in summer practice and you outwork everybody and produce, he's going to play you. And sure enough, he outworked everybody and produced and was playing. And that's the Kirk Signetti way. Wow. Wow.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And now here he is, a few years later on the cusp of winning a national championship. Man, you know what, Sean, nothing makes us happier as a parent
Man,
than to see our
it's
kids succeeding.
undescribable. I
I
saw
mean,
something,
what
and I can't
what
remember
is
where I
this
saw it. I
like
believe
to
it was
see your kid
on
come
social
running out
media.
of
It
that
was a
tunnel
touchdown,
with a
24 point,
national?
1 point now, but
What is going to be
uh,
going through your mind?
it talked about how, as a parent, as a mother or a dad or anybody, you're like not the only person, but you want to see your child do better than you. You want them to win, you know, and to see him run out on that stage, I don't even know what kind of emotions are going through my body and that will be going through my body. But
Right.
I've had
Right.
him, to see him out in the Rose Bowl, to see him in the Peach Bowl, and to see him in the and now in the national championship in the Orange Bowl. That's just the topping on the cake, man. And I'm pulling for those guys. I want them to get
Right.
it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Were you surprised at the
That's
at
what
the
makes.
outcome at the Peach Bowl? Because
Hey, no better
folks
way
were
to
saying,
set the
well,
tone,
we
right?
don't know. I mean, this could
What
go
better
either
way to set the
way.
tone? A pick
And I
six, you
mean,
got to be.
Indiana came
That's
out
like
there
getting
and
knocked out in the
man,
first
it was, I
round.
mean, a pick
You got to
six
get up and collect your
right off
blessings
the
and go.
rip. First play
Uh,
of the game
but
from
no, man,
scrimmage.
I thought it would be. I thought it would have been a much
Right.
tighter and closer game than it was. But I was happy it wasn't.
Right.
I didn't want no nail biter or anything like that. I don't even want this game to be a nail biter. I want Indiana to go out there and from the start just start, putting it on them. But I doubt that happened. These are two great teams, and
Right.
when two people come together that want to win, that make for
Right.
good fights, that make for good games and all that
Right.
stuff. So Miami's not going back down, regardless. And I know Indiana ain't going back down. So I
Right.
think this would be a lot closer game. But I was generally surprised on how they.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was shocked the way they got up on Oregon, and just what I love about this Indiana team is they don't quit. Like that Penn State game, I thought that was over. I just kept watching just because I didn't have
Hey,
anything else to do. And
kind of
next thing you know, they're going
I
down the
kind of knew
field,
then
and
on that
Fernando's
play,
playing
and
out of his
there was a
mind.
few great catches
That kid makes that
leading up to
catch in the
that
back of
play.
the end zone, toe
That Charlie
taps.
Beckett catch on the
I'm like, oh my
sideline.
God, he caught it. Like that is a
I tell you, man,
touchdown.
I knew then. I said
It
this
seemed like
team
destiny.
is headed for something special because you've been around the game like I've been around the game a long time, and you can see it. And then when you start pulling out improbable victories like that Penn State victory,
Yes.
and the way that they pulled it out, you're like, okay, this setting up for something special. And you need those kind of games if you want to accomplish something great and have a special season.
Yeah.
So yeah, once he made that catch and they won that game, I'm like, I
Yep.
don't really know how far they're gonna go, but this thing is special right here that they could.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So, setting the stage, you're looking at a program that had been down for what, 2 decades. Miami hadn't been, relevant since the early 2000s, when they lost that game to Ohio
Yeah,
State and Maurice Claret and that crew. And Indiana has never won a
yeah, it's
national
sensational,
championship, had
right?
always struggled
It's
on the
sensational. I
football
mean,
front. And,
Miami, we went to school
it
with a
has
bunch of
become
Miami
the
guys, and you know
shining
how
star of college
they
football.
always been in their
And
Hurricanes,
what better
and
story
some
could we have
aspects,
for a national
we
title game?
rooted for the Canes too. Not this week.
Right.
Not this week, I'm not, but they have a great story as well, and the things that they're doing and accomplishing by barely not
Yes,
even
sir.
making it into the playoffs. A lot of people didn't feel like they should have been in, and to kind of beat the teams that they beat the way they beat
Right.
them is a great story as well. It can only be one national champion and one winner, and where the story continue, where they go down and put their mark in history. And I'm sure hoping that be the Hoosiers. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about this whole landscape of college football right now. Man, it has changed from when you and I were in
Yeah,
college.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it has changed from 10 years
So
ago, 5 years
in
ago.
general, I
It is
like
a
the portal
whole different
because
game now.
we come from a
What are your
time
thoughts on the
where
transfer portal?
coaches
I just
can
read a
once you
story today where
sign,
kids are
coaches
asking
kind
to
of
go
have a
back to
foreign
their programs
control
because
over you
they
and do
got in the
what you
portal
want,
and didn't
and
get picked up by
and
anybody.
everybody don't
I
have the
mean,
best
it's
intentions
crazy.
for you as a person or as a player. And guys been kind of stuck where they were and wasn't able to make decisions. So in that aspect, I like the portal. I like guys having the flexibility to move and do some things because
Right.
to me, it's making these coaches have to coach, right?
Right.
It's making these coaches have to develop. And guys always had a keen sense of whether this coach had my best interest at heart. Coaches can be hard. Coaches can be tough. And for the most part, football players don't mind coaches being hard or tough, but they want them to be consistent. They want them to be fair, and they don't want to be lied to. Right. And so from a player flexibility point, I like that. I do think there need to be some tweaks and touches on it from a standpoint of when the players can leave. I do understand that they had 2 times they could get in the portal, and now it's only 1. I just want the calendars to match up, right? I don't like it when coaches or players have to make a decision about their future while they're in the present, right? They got to make a decision about where I'm going to play next year while I'm playing this year. And I think that they should figure out how they can kind of, match that calendar up where coaches can coach their whole seasons, players can play their whole seasons, and then they can make decisions on what they think is best for their future.
Right.
Yeah. That's
Absolutely.
the low end, man.
Absolutely. It's such a a delicate balance, and it's so hard to find the right answer. We may never know, but there's a lot of money involved. Matter of fact, it's not an issue for you, but I heard tickets are going for $4,800 on the low end.
Right. It absolutely makes no sense. People can't enjoy college sports. It's a business.
Yeah.
It's a business. You definitely can't take a family of 4 unless you multi-millionaire or something like that, or just close some big deal. But it just doesn't make
corporations
sense that ticket prices for a college football game can and should be that high. That should be there should be some gauges on that.
Right.
Right. Right.
Woo!
Who's gonna go?
Right.
Well, it's gonna be packed. They coming, but
Yeah. Yeah, man. $5,000 for the nosebleeds. That's not a bargain at all. that ain't a bargain at all, man. Shoot, not me. You know it. You know it. Well, listen, man. Don't blink. Don't miss a minute of it. I know you won't. Man, I'm praying for you and the family and wishing all the best for y'all, man. I'm so happy for y'all. Man, it feels like it's happening to us, man. I've known you for so long, and your wife and your family, man. And, it feels like it's happening for all of us, man. So I'm just wishing for the best for you and for Solomon. And take crazy pictures when y'all run on the field when that confetti is falling.
Thanks, bro. Have a good one.
Nice. Absolutely. That'd be great. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, all the best, man. Go get the natty, baby. Yes, sir. All right, Sean. We'll talk at you soon, man. Peace. All right. Peace out. Yes, sir.